One is looking at them, so
need a dial
camera
indicator.
2 is looking at me.
But that means you're like this.
Huh?
The cameras are right here on you.
Well, no.
Are you farting?
No, I was gonna get a dial
Dude, get the
indicator,
fan,
but I
man.
don't need it.
You don't need a dial indicator.
What he needs is a fan.
Yeah.
He just wants to
Yeah.
use the fancy
Yes.
close-up camera.
Yes.
Where's
It
the
gets
close-up
hot.
camera? Is that camera 1 or camera 2?
2.
Camera 2.
So how do we use that without
It's getting hot in
milking
here.
up the shot?
It's
You
hot.
switch to it and then you get behind it,
Switch to it, yeah.
and you're all like, oh.
The AC is broke.
Are you taking your bike home this weekend?
I got it. He says I can borrow it.
I'm taking it to the drag strip.
Nobody can hear you.
Live?
We're live, but
What's up, Scooter?
Scooter!
That's your boy, isn't it?
What up, buddy? Yeah.
First comment. Did we build one or is he about to
Yes,
build one?
no, we're done with him. Actually,
get?
Mike hot rodded
Bushmaster.
a tractor trailer with Scooter.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Good time.
Peterbilt.
Nick looking thick. Yep, thick boy gang.
Hey, let me tell you,
Dick looking thick.
not that this actually happened, but theoretically, those things will peel out around the mall.
Yeah, theoretically speaking.
Theoretically.
What will?
Tractor
Peterbilts.
trailer.
Grizzly's your boy.
I think I saw here.
Prestridge's buddy.
Oh,
Yes, Bob, we still have the bike. Out for machining.
no, we sold it, Bob. We parted it out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sang, what's up, man? It's been a while.
Go way back with Sam.
Yeah.
Didn't we send both motors for Prestridge to get bored?
No, we just sent one, which I thought, it's
Scooter-
funny, because I was like, I'm pretty sure we sent already, and Aaron's like, no, and I'm like, man, I thought we handled that like super quick. Oh, no. Okay,
I boxed
we
up
got
a
it.
whole motor.
Second time.
I put it all in the thing, get it all set. I go up to the computer system, like, there's no order for a case board for Prestridge. I'm like, there's nothing here. I'm looking around trying to figure it out. Then I go through my already submitted orders, and we've already
It's
sent
done.
a case because
It's
we
been
got a
done for,
brand
like-
new case.
We did it like
Thank God.
that week.
Thank God.
That's what I thought. I thought we did it forever.
So now you got to unbox all that. It's like they only weigh like 10 pounds.
Ricky, the 135 is only illegal if you pull over.
It's like high
Well,
bars in
in
California. Just
though,
take it, kind of
in
yank them back,
California,
and you're
don't the
legal.
cops just let you go now? There's no law in California anymore, right?
I don't think so.
I don't pull over, so I don't know.
It depends on what you do.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they only like ticket and arrest people that say, yeah, please do this to
Say
me.
that you identify as a refugee and run.
Here's one of the questions we knew that was going to come up tonight. I want to jump right into the questions. Any thoughts on the new SNS 107 to 129 or 114 to 132 kits? It's something we want to address, and that's why we have these guys on the table. And, you know, Harley does a lot of research. They do probably more testing and development than anyone on what will happen under certain circumstances under a lot of miles. And when they pull back of the size because of the case restrictions is why they come to the limit of the size motors we come to. So Harley has kits which would be a 107 to a 128. Then they have a 114 or 117 goes to a 131. And this guy right here is the same cylinder, and you're going to run this on the Harley 128, 131 kit. And I don't know if you can zoom in, Randy, but
Close-up camera.
maybe I can get
Camera
this
two.
by
Camera
my.
two.
I can
Stand.
get this by
Look at
maybe
this.
my microphone. Look,
Look at this.
see how thin that metal is? You can hear it. That is 45 thou.
Wait.
Thick
Hey, do
for
it.
spigot. Yeah, there you go.
Is that like a dinner bell? in
Oh,
your
it's
ear?
making me
My guy
hungry.
is tiny.
Horsepower bell. Horsepower
So
serving up.
Harley actually patented this cylinder, and this is basically chromoly. It is a real hard metal because this is so thin. They're trying to use the best quality metal they can to make sure this is holding rigidity, make sure it's strong, make sure it's able to handle when the pistons come in the bottom. It's changing directions. There's a lot of thrust there from one side of the piston to the other, and we got to make sure this is a stable environment for that piston. Now, when you do some of those other kits and you add stroke to a really thin spigot, this guy's moving, it's flexing under your motor, there's more rock, there's more heat buildup in the bottom, and you're really pushing the limits on some of those kits.
Well, that's their 135 kit though. That isn't actually out yet. They're still testing that one.
Yeah, but they do have a kit that's bigger than their 128.
Yeah, they have the 132.
They have a 132. So
You know,
Would be
129,
if you had a
get some weird
114,
stuff.
it would go to a 132 instead of a 131.
yeah, so if you are going from a 131 to 132 on the same stroke, this is thinner. It would be thinner. Do I want to go thinner? No. We're running these. We've been running these on the 131 ass eaters. So they're awesome. They're holding up. A lot of money in the cylinder. This is a really high quality cylinder. This is different than Harley's other kits when they're doing some of the smaller cubic inch stage 3 kits. What are the other smaller cubic inch we have?
The 120,
114 to 117.
A
Well, there's a
122.
122,
126
119.
or something,
Yeah.
or 125 or 126. Or
Yeah, those are cheaper cylinders, so those aren't getting the same material making up your sleeve as Harley-Davidson's 128 kit and 131 kit. It is better. This sleeve is actually, it comes up, and you can go to Harley's website and look, and it has ridges like this in it, and they actually put the sleeve in the mold, and the sleeve is cast inside of the outer jug or cylinder. And that's how they make them really nice. They finish them really well, very smooth from when you transition to the inner sleeve to the aluminum jug. It's just nice and smooth. It's a nice high quality cylinder, and we run these.
Well, the biggest difference between their kit and ours is going to be in the pistons themselves, because we tailor the pistons to the build, and all of our pistons are made just for our specifications. With our pop-up, they're all coated.
Our rings, all that stuff.
Our rings, we're
Yeah.
running total steel rings.
And it's a higher dollar kit.
Right.
So, I
But
mean,
that's why, because
yeah.
of the components that we're using. And we aren't mass producing these. So, our kits are made specifically for us, small batches. Everything is to a real exact tolerance. You handle them, like 5 times before you put the tape over the top and bring them downstairs?
At least.
At least.
He takes a shower with them. And
He labors over them pretty hard.
He has
I'm tired of touching all these pistons and looking
he has a
at
magnifying glass up in his office, and he's like, look at where that port is. I don't like it.
Oh, someone's trying to put Bob like in the slow lane over here. He doesn't want a 135 anymore. He wants a 107, a slow one.
Yeah, his buddy that rides with him all the time.
Wrong shop.
Yep.
What's Grizzly's name?
Todd Edwards.
Yeah,
Todd
Edwards. That's right. That's right. I was like, no. Hey, Edwards, if he does a 135, we still got the 139.
Todd doesn't do anything
I
slow.
mean, Todd,
Yeah.
come on. We got 143. Do the Dominator. Bob,
Hey,
send us
He's about to
an email
text me
tomorrow.
right now. He's like, give me a quote.
Super tramp.
Well, the difference too is that if Harley made their kit and they spent all the money they could to give you the nicest piston, the nicest ring, the nicest everything, the price would go up and they would sell less. They're trying to give you a higher performing kit at a price point that is more accessible to a wider range of riders. And it's a nice kit. We're just pushing the limits, and we design the kits to push the limits, and tolerances are a little bit tighter, and we're not mass producing them. Each piston is fit to each cylinder. We take the Harley-Davidson 131 cylinder to one of our 131 pistons, and we measure each one of them, and we get a final hone with torque plates from our machine shop. And it's just a little bit more tedious. It takes longer, so if Harley did that, the price of their kits would go up, and they would sell less of them. So these are just a higher-end kit for them. And we pretty much stopped running a stroker flywheel.
Yeah.
Because
we don't do it anymore.
Yeah, we're able to get a lot of bore out of an M8 without any problem. So the twin cam, we were limited. Now with the M8 being like a big block for a case, we have plenty of room to give you a 4.5-inch piston. And that's the difference. So we don't have to do the stroke and pull the piston out the bottom when you're getting real close to, get your piston a little bit below your skirt.
What else we got?
Mike Sheets, I see that.
You all heard of the
Hey,
151?
William Wade, call me tomorrow.
Yeah, Twitch Gafford right there. 151 from a company in Arizona.
Yeah, that's the Motor Witch kit,
Yeah,
right?
it's Motor Witch with the collective or whatever they're
Yeah.
called.
Yeah, so they're taking a piston like this guy and they're putting a big stroke on it, and that's how they're getting a 151. It's a real big kit. I mean, the 143, they're producing massive power, more power than the street can handle, and you don't have to push the limits with the extra heat, with extra wear and tear on that larger stroke.
What's up, Cantu? Good to see you, man.
It's been a while since
Been a
it's
while.
here.
Not a bad thing.
No, it means the bike's running good.
He's out
Curtis
there
Hook, I
getting
see
mad.
you.
Curtis! Curtis, your
Best
bike's
of
awesome.
show.
Yep.
Hey,
He's a
just
beast.
just so everyone knows, we're going to do a video on Curtis when he comes up next time. He's got a
Right.
143. He broke 180 horsepower up that Road King. It's a beast. Like you said, he won Best of Show. It's an awesome looking bike. Next time it's in here. Unfortunately, when we do the builds, our
Yeah,
guy
we had some
Randy,
blue
who
powder
you
coat that
can't
was
see,
like
who's
that.
behind the cameras, isn't always
Candy?
available.
Candy blue, yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah,
just work
sick.
for us.
We had to book this show 4 months in advance just to get him tonight.
That's right. That's right. And then we got blackmail him and tease him with gifts, to get him here.
I cut all the valve stems off of his wheels and was like, well, you're here. Might as well do a video. I don't know who fucked your car up. That's messed up.
All right, now time for you guys to take over.
Well, they're asking us to fight. Like I'm supposed to smack Nick for some reason.
I'm okay with it.
Well,
I saw somebody earlier ask a question, and we can't really go back because I can't see it, but about the Pro Stock 212 header. We have those in stock. If you want one, hit us up. I'll be in tomorrow. I
think
can
you
ship
have
those.
one right there.
We do have one actually
Oh,
right here. This could be
convenient.
yours.
Yes.
It might be the one actually. I might just pull it and put it right in the box.
Well, dealing with a lot of supply chain issues, over the last 2 years, we've really had to change what we do and how we do it. And now we order stuff in a lot larger quantity so we don't run out. And why don't you guys go over why we run the Pro Stock header, what makes it unique, and why we came up with it?
Wow. Well, there's a lot to cover on that. The M8, because of the way the heads flow, and because we use this pipe a lot of times in larger applications where, at least from 107, 114 up, it performs exceptionally well on a 124, 128. We've run it on 131s, 135s, and it still works. The reason it works is primary diameter is 1 7/8. So you've got all the way to the head, and up here where it meets the head, it's not a tapered flange. It's a really nice open square flange.
Close up cam.
Can you get it?
It utilizes the factory heat shields, which is very nice for everyone.
Yep.
Well, this guy right here, this spigot that goes into the head, it is a CNC piece, and it's one of the reasons we chose to work with Burn Stainless Steel.
Right.
They do a really good job. They're known in the industry. We worked a deal out where they built this pipe for us. It's exclusive just to us. And this guy is the same diameter as the pipe. It's a nice smooth transition. It's CNC'd. It's not a mass-produced stamp piece.
And it's TIG welded, really nice back purge. There's
Yeah,
no
it's beautiful.
slag or anything inside here. It's super nice.
Full-size crossover.
Yep. Full size crossover here. Correct collector volume and angle at the merge, which really helps linearize the power through the curve. It gets really good power on the bottom, and it still pulls really, really well up top. And there's a cool little piece of technology in here that we may or may not want to talk about.
Yeah, and the X it's their X. Burns has patented some of their designs, which is this guy. And if you look, we moved the X as far back as possible and still kept the turn to fit underneath the factory heat shield. So we see a lot of other exhaust pipes with X's in them, and the X is more right here. This guy's been pushed back as far as we can push it while still having the cross underneath your chassis to give you the dual exhaust. So this is a true dual system. It's a 2 into X chamber, back into 2, and it will take any M8 muffler setup on the market. It doesn't have to be our Pro Stock mufflers that Chromeworks does. We prefer them. We've helped them design some of the baffles. We've tested and tuned them.
Yeah.
And what's nice about this is when you use the Harley heat shield, grab one of those underneath. Something that's nice about Harley, which we talked about at the beginning about their research and development, when they put a coating on some of their products, they make sure their coating's going to hold up and last. They don't want the motorcycle to get worn down. They don't want to deal with warranty issues. So the process they use to coat these heat shields is really nice. We really don't have any problems with them turning colors. I mean, you're going to scratch them if you scratch them with another piece of metal.
Am I right? The parent
the bike
company
gets
that does the Chromeworks mufflers does the coatings for these to begin with,
Lincoln.
right?
And they're the same company that really does our mufflers, but Harley has some processes that they do that some of the manufacturers that produce stuff for them, they can't do for everyone as well. So sometimes they don't always tell you what they're using. But these are going to work underneath your factory heat shield. So one, if you want that sleeper look, you can have it. And this exhaust pipe right here, 170 plus horsepower potential. We've proven it on the 135 Devil Runner over and over with that exhaust. And if you want to go to a stage 2, like any stage 2 cam on the market, and want high performing exhaust, this guy with our Pro Stock mufflers by Chromeworks and the right baffle will handle that and give you a really nice torque curve right off the hit. So what's nice about this system is you can get it on your bike. Factory heat shields are going to look good. They're going to last. These keep the heat off of you, because when Harley designed the exhaust, they took their engineers for that rear exhaust pipe and they wanted to keep it as far from your right leg as possible. It's something we don't talk about a lot, but that pipe really hugs the side of the motor and wraps under, so it's farther away from your leg. So you have less heat towards you. The closer that pipe moves to your leg, the more heat you feel. So we kept that same pattern, and it's an exhaust that'll work with your stage 2 and will grow with your build as maybe your horsepower potential grows, because you do a stage 2 right now. Later down the road, you do a stage 3, and then one day you're like, hey, I want all the power.
ported head.
I'm ready for it. You don't have to change exhaust with this. You can just change a baffle in the muffler, which makes this system really unique.
Yep.
Did you just say eunuch?
Sort of. But, I mean, anything else you want to touch on that guy?
Well, I'll tell you that it was a pleasant surprise that it went up to 170 horsepower. When we
Yes.
Yeah.
when we built it, we figured 150 would probably be as far as we'd want to
Let's
go,
ditch
and we
that.
just said, "What the hell? Let's just throw it on this 135," and it did it.
Another thing that I'd like to add really quick is that's one of the most, pardon me, I'm setting that down. One of the most commonly asked questions that we get up front is, can I expect the same result with X brand muffler? Can I expect it with, X brand, power chamber thing? No, you really can't.
Well, it's a hard question to answer because it depends on how it's all put together.
Right.
There's
But
a
I mean,
lot of companies out there, and we don't, we don't know how they're all constructed. There's some really good brands that we don't necessarily use, but we don't really try everything that's on the market. We've tried something that works, and then we take that, and if we want to alter it, turn it into our own, and add a couple little tweaks to it, we do that.
But there are certainly some designs that we've seen repeatedly over and over and over.
Short pipes do not work.
Short pipes don't work, and
They don't
wide
work.
open
They-
baffles, especially ones that go from here to 4.5 inches opening up, do a really tremendous job of amplifying the reflected wave and really making a bad dip in torque.
Yeah,
and we want to stay away from
They sound
that. Amazing.
amazing, which is that reflective wave.
Correct.
So
That boominess that you hear.
So, you kind of have to walk that line, and, I think exhaust continues to be probably the most misunderstood part of engines in general. Because everybody thinks you put a monster intake in a huge cam and the thing rips, but if you don't, the way you exit the spent gases from the motor is the most important part of the process.
Well, we spend a lot of money in a nice ported head, a bigger ported intake manifold, a throttle body, a nice valve setup, larger valves in the head, and make all the air flow in. But the air flowing out is just as important as the air coming into the motor. Because if you can't get the air out fast enough, it will clog the motor up and back the motor up and not allow more air to come in. So the exhaust flowing is just as important as all those parts in front on the intake side.
I figure it a lot like timing, like the way that the reflected waves work, the way that the pressure works in the exhaust, all of those things contribute together to increase scavenging, reduce reflected wave back to the cylinder head. And if you time it all right and you get the right primary length, the right primary diameter, if you choose to use steps or not, you can get the timing of that stuff to really lift power where otherwise you might lose power.
Well, the object of the game is to time it to where the wave stops right before the exhaust valve.
Bounce that off and scavenge.
When you're on your overlap, instead of vacuuming all of your intake charge out, it packs the cylinder with fresh air and
Yep.
intake charge, because you have a wall of pressure holding all of that inside the cylinder when both valves are open.
And you and I were standing outside the other night talking about it, and if you see a really poorly made exhaust, you can actually see it on the curve
Yeah, you
where
can watch the
it'll go
waves.
in time, out of time, in time, and then at some point it'll just blow past it because there's enough pressure there to defeat it. But you're actually seeing it because the speed of sound doesn't change, but the reflected wave is still doing its thing, but while engine RPM increases, and you can see it change the curve. It's really wild. And then you get a really good exhaust, you put it on there, and it just straight linearizes the curve. makes it
curve.
just take off if it's done right.
And we'll go over a couple different exhausts, a Pro Stock and a D&D, on the MHP 485 cam that Star Racing did for us. And you can see the different curves in the torque. It's more prominent in the torque curve than the horsepower curve. It's there in the horsepower curve, but you can just see it more in the torque. And we'll show you the differences between the two and what the wave's doing,
Now,
which we'll explain a little later.
Bob was asking specifically on his build, 135, would he expect to see more power on this versus a Thunderheader?
It depends on the cam.
Yeah.
Well, the power is going to be a little bit different because of the inherent design.
Yep.
This is going to give a little bit more of a low-end
Torque. Yep.
type power. The Thunderheader is going to give more of probably a well-rounded and a little bit higher-end horsepower.
peak.
But you're going to sacrifice a little bit on the bottom, and on a 135, you're talking from 140 foot-pounds of torque at 2,700 RPMs, 135 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah. It's not monumental
Because
either way.
the Thunderheader also has a really ingenious reversion design inside their muffler. You know, anybody that's ever owned a Thunderheader sees, you know, the little pyramid
Thunderheader die.
that's inside the muffler. I mean,
Say it, dude. Thunderheader or die.
Thunderheader will die. I always say I'll put it on my truck if I could.
there was one earlier that said, you know, what's the best 2-into-1 for performance and for sound? And the D&Ds are really loud. So it's funny because D&Ds look great, they perform great. Thunderheaders to me they're the best sounding exhaust ever
Agreed.
produced, but they are the ugliest at the same time. But you know what?
That doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't matter because they didn't
doesn't
design them
matter.
to be pretty, they designed them to work.
work.
Yep.
And they do.
I'd rather have a winning car in primer than a show quality paint job and lose it.
That's totally not true.
I mean, that's how I
That
have
is totally not true. We know you. You would have a show car.
no. I would want
You
the
won't
fastest
enter the
car.
track until it's the fastest show car.
I might not make
Well,
it
no,
out.
it'll be at least 1 mile per hour faster because he'll polish the snot out of it
Yeah.
and make it like super slick.
Well, we got rewind 20 years.
Streamline.
Rewind 20 years. and
Got
it
my
was a
Streamliner
little different.
55.
He would be polishing it too.
Thank you, Blaine, very much, man. It was a pleasure working with you.
What do you get?
Blaine, man, you're asking me. I built so many. I can't even remember right now, but I know it ran really good, obviously.
Have you hurt some feelings, Blaine? Are there people mad that we did the work on your bike?
It's got
That's
to be.
what I want to hear. I want someone out here like, hey, I have your build, and I murder everyone. That's the feedback we want to see. If you have one of our builds and you're enjoying it and you're hurting feelings and you enjoy hurting feelings, tell us about some of your stuff. We want to share it with the rest of
Yeah.
everyone watching.
Some like out there in the field kill stories would be kind of cool to talk about.
I
That'd be
think
nice to hear.
That's our favorite thing from our customers.
Yeah.
Is when they get it back and they're like, man, I had this sport bike just pestering me and I just let him have it.
That was hope.
And he couldn't believe it.
Or then like the 3 buddies he rides with, the phone starts to ring. You're like, yeah, you built my buddy's bike. Oh yeah, I know that guy.
cool
Dude,
bike.
I got to do something because he just waxes me everywhere we go. Now I got to have something better.
Matt, sorry I couldn't make it up Sturgis, man. I know you live up there. You probably
Oh,
hurt,
yeah.
You probably hurt like 10% of everyone's there's feelings.
Scooter was telling me like right after he got home, he took that bike out and actually just absolutely spanked a 131. Made him feel real bad about the money he spent.
Well, we need more than just I murdered someone. We need to be like, hey, this guy came up and I pulled him by 10 bike lengths in like 20 feet.
There was one earlier that said, will Bartlett's build their 135? Probably not. Most California dealerships, you know, you got the carb that is really, really strict and hammers California really bad. And, I mean, they may, I don't know,
Don't.
but I would imagine no California dealership is going to touch anything that we do. And we can't ship to California most of the parts that we make because, well, communism sucks.
Write that down.
Hey,
So Curtis
the truth.
Hoke right here. I destroyed a CBR 1000 2 weeks ago. He wasn't even in the same zip code when he was done.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that's the part that makes us happy because it's kind of why we did this. Most of us came off of sport bikes and we got on the Harleys and like, these are awesome, but they need to perform better. They need to turn better, stop better, and run like our sport bike and scare us a little bit. I kind of
They'll
like
scare
it
you.
where you get on a bike or you're getting on it and your heart rate starts to go up because you're pushing the limits and you know you are. And when you have that bike like just running at like 4,500 and you're in the zone and you just barely hit the throttle, the bike's barking back at you. I mean, that's what's really cool. Or maybe you're coming to a corner hot and you're like, man, I'm coming in pretty aggressive. Is it gonna handle it?
So Tarantino rode my buddy's MHP 128 rocket ship, smoked a guy with a Trask turbo in Daytona. He blew it. All right, doing a 135.
I think we can ship bikes to California. That doesn't matter. We can ship full motorcycles anywhere.
That's
right?
Mark Ruppel.
built
What up, Mark?
bikes, yeah, just the parts.
And
CARB won't let us ship that stuff.
And there's a pretty good performance shop in Phoenix, in my old stomping grounds, that will do whatever you need, and they have really good guys that know how to dyno, and they know how to put them together. And I used to work with those guys, so if there's anybody in California that needs work done there, I can recommend a place that'll take care of you.
And I can ship parts to Arizona.
Yeah.
So
Arizona's
not a
still
problem.
free.
Well, here's something we get asked a lot. Hey, we're building these monster motors. What kind of miles per gallon should I expect? If you guys are watching, you have a 135. Hoke, you got your bike. Well, Hoke's, I don't think he rides it full throttle, so we might not want to see his miles per gallon. But if you have one of our big motors or a 131, let us know what you're expecting miles per gallon. We get a lot of feedback from our customers that riding on the highway, when they stop to fill up at the gas station, they're getting the same fuel, if not
Who
less
cares?
gas
MPG.
than someone with a stock motor
Miles per mile.
or a smaller build. So give us real feedback, because when we tell customers, hey, you might get the same, if not better, highway miles, they think we're liars. So it'd be good.
I have to stop. Road Glad 128 has said hello to Nick like 400
I gave him the
times.
horns. I said, "What up, Mark?" You. Yeah.
You got to say something, Nick.
I said, "Hi, what up, Mark?" Keep doing burnouts
If
for
you're
me.
not
I love
gonna
it.
talk, then you should just pace back and forth behind us, and every once in a while go, yeah,
Yeah. Anybody want a beer? Want a beer?
yeah.
He's like the hype man.
I know, yeah.
I just wait for it.
Are you going to ride your Dyno at the track again?
No, because I have to work. I'll be right here.
I'll give you the
We
day
need
off.
to go. Oh, dude.
That means Aaron won't be able to go.
No, then I'll go too, and then
Just
we're
shut
gonna
down-
run
talk to-
No, we have to shut down the
Dyna on
horsepower.
Dyna
Yeah.
Crime
What?
Yeah.
because
But the
mine's
phones are
not
still
gonna be
gonna
ready.
ring. That's what you tell me every Sunday.
We'll just make Jules answer them all.
Yeah.
We'll make sure
Perfect.
she-
Well, we're going then.
Yes,
sir.
Oi!
Yes. There's no wheelies.
And
Last
then
time I did a
we
wheelie.
gotta go.
There's a really pretty, really beautiful Road Glide with polished cylinders and heads that is going to the track, and I'm gonna put some spanking fast laps on
It
it.
sounds like it's still gonna be ours then, too.
Yeah, if you don't take it home, we're running. We're gonna.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Oh yeah.
You can't see him.
You
But
get
if he doesn't take it home, we're gonna beat it. We're gonna try.
One
We're
of-
gonna see what a stock belt can handle.
I'm gonna
Or
put
is there a
that.
chain
I'm gonna
on
put
there
that thing in
already?
the sixes.
The owner of
It's
one
a
of the
belt?
most
And then I'll hand you the
beautiful bikes
keys.
we've ever built is here, just watching. He just kind of he showed up and surprised us all, and he's kind of we've got a live audience. It's one of the most beautiful bikes we ever built, and it's sitting out in our showroom, and we've all been like, man, if this here next week,
Andy's got it. Look at his hat. Nobody cares.
Work hard.
What's up, Mr. Chapman?
Mr. Chapman.
Mr. Chapman, world famous.
One of the prettiest bikes we ever built.
Yes, it is.
Hurts my eyes. I need shades on when I see that thing.
And trust me, it's gonna hurt feelings all over
All
the place.
over. Now we're talking
I
about
hope his buddies aren't watching.
now we're talking about
Blowing them up.
Hey,
next.
were we supposed to keep that a secret?
I think we were.
Good luck catching a race now. You're done.
Yes, there is going to be another Cam Shootout series, and Jamie and I were just talking about this afternoon that we were going to mention that today.
Yeah, there's just new stuff on the market.
It's going to be one day.
Not tomorrow, but one day.
One day.
That'll be next month. We should be.
Yeah,
able
we're going to
hammer
try to
that
get it
out.
done by Halloween.
Yeah. Now that we rigged Randy's car not to work, he'll be here.
He'll be here more.
Last one we did was 124, 128 shootout.
How long
Well,
ago was that?
We're going to
2
do.
years ago.
Well, I think
Sorry,
we should
guys.
do another bolt-in cam one and run some of the ones that people were asking for before, like the. What was that one? 480. The CR.
CR480.
Sakurama,
CR480.
CR4.
There's a
480,
470.
And there was
Woods 22XE.
XD
that
too,
20.
man.
That's
On both of them.
oh man, it was a Smith. I can't remember the guy's name. Max Cycle.
Oh yeah, Maxell.
Maxell. Yeah, the Maxell cam. Yeah, well, I want to run that, and we're going to do R485, and because things have changed so much, now it's a good time to kind of start the shootout series over. I think, don't you?
Yeah,
like
things have definitely
Like start
progressed
over
and
with
changed.
bolt-in, like stage 2 cams with some of these different characteristic cams, and then do another like medium big bore build, and then another monster build.
First one was 4 years ago almost.
Wow. Yeah, I think we should do one on all those new cams. Then we should go over, just kind of compare our bigger kits and why you would need to go to a bigger kit or stay with a smaller kit and what the differences are. And
Okay,
what to expect from them.
Blaine did get a 128. All the goodies. Mileage back home was 40, riding 85 plus the whole way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's killer. It's like the perfect crime.
So for everybody scrolling up and down, FX LRS Arizona is Tom. He is a tuner and a master tech at Superstition Harley, and that is the shop that I recommend in Arizona for all you California communists that are stuck. Go there. He knows his stuff. Those guys will take care of you, and they don't care about regulations. They're into horsepower.
Well, Snorkel Mike, best cam for the 131. I'm assuming he's talking about the Harley 131. So we have a kit we do where we take the SE springs out, and we just released a video of the new MHP 640 spring kit just the other day on YouTube. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. These are what are going on the 128 or 131 Screaming Eagle motors when they come in here. We are swapping them out to these guys. It's a PSI spring. It's a retainer done by Joe Hornick Industries, designed with Star Racing, George Bryce, and it is a titanium retainer with a billet lock. We put those on the 131 so we can run the larger lift cams. We like a 592 fueling cam.
Yep.
That cam's been really good.
Use your existing 64 millimeter throttle body, ported 66 manifold.
Yeah, we take the Harley manifold, which started off as a cast 64, which is on that motor, and we run. Can you see this, Randy?
Zoom in.
Zoom into that bad boy. The MHP F064.
Should be able to read that, right? Right there.
Frankenstein now ports this. It's a really nice manifold.
They're pretty.
We've changed up our design a little bit on the port. You know, as we learn more and we do more testing, we're able to come out with better products. So it's just a great manifold. We swap out the standard cast one. We put this on. We do a 592 cam from Fueling. It's a Fueling cam. We run their lifters on that setup. And then we go to the MHP S640 spring kit, which will fit right on your Screaming Eagle heads. They're designed specifically for that application. And it's supposed to be the best spring on the market for an MA right now. So we run these on all of our monster heads right now, and we'll start running them on the rest of the stuff that we have. Really nice kit, but that
They're
motor,
not right now preloaded on the 1.5 overheads, only the 2.5 overheads.
they'll eventually start coming
Eventually,
on.
but right now they're not. I had answered a bunch of those questions today.
But it's still a good quality streamer. We've never had a problem with the spring on that head.
Knock on wood.
It's just, as stuff gets better, we keep adding stuff to what we do.
Did George really move closer to Moonshine? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, she lives with Jamie.
He comes here all the time, so I don't know if he moved closer, but
We get to do lunch once a
we
week.
go lunch. and he was trying to do a video with for one of his products, and I kept going in and going, well, "What is this? What is this?" He gets real nervous and shakes.
No, he did. George moved about 30 minutes away from us. We were excited for him to move up here. We were working with him a little bit, and then him just moving up here allowed us to work with him more. And since he's not doing all the work in his shop in Georgia, he's got a little bit more time on his hands, and we're doing a lot of stuff, and George has a lot of answers when we need help. And he's
Scooter,
an awesome resource.
When we're done, text me. I want to chat with you about getting that spring kit in your bike if you want to do that. Doing the springs on the heads it requires a specialty tool, and if we're not going to do it, I want to make sure whoever is going to do that has that tool and can do it properly. So just text me.
RSP Papa Bear. Hey, send me another email. Remind me, I think I tried to call you a couple times, but send me an email tonight of what we're trying to do. I think you're trying to buy a bike and get the motor build in a certain budget. So if that's the case, email me. If that's not the case, email me what you need as well. I'll be back in the shop Tuesday, headed to Frankenstein down there in Texas on Monday with Randy, and then we'll get it this week for you. I might turn it over to Aaron or Nick tonight. So if you send me the email tonight, I'll send it to these guys, and they can help you out as well.
Zachary asked if the Wood 408 is good for 128.
It's a big cam, isn't it?
Off the top of my head, I think that's a pretty big cam.
Yeah, I
You're going
think
to
it is
want to
too.
run some good compression and heads with that, but
Probably rip.
there's nothing wrong with putting on a 128, but I wouldn't just get like an SNS power pack and then bolt that in and run
Right.
it. You might be disappointed that way.
Someone just asked about 143 dyno numbers.
Curtis has posted his right here.
Hey,
181,
they're
164.
big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big.
Monster.
Yeah.
It made 181 horsepower at 6,400 RPMs. Max torque was 165 at 5,200. And that setup right there was running a Star full race 615 cam. Something else that comes up a lot that you guys answer like questions are like, hey, I want the roller rockers from S&S on my setup. And in the larger cams, when we go to a larger duration and real fast ramps, we've pulled away from running the S&S rocker. One, we don't need to make the ramp speed faster on those big cams because the cam's already doing it.
Nor the
Cams-
added lift, right?
Because a lot of the cams came out before that rocker arm. And they already had really aggressive ramps, so there's no reason to make them more aggressive. All you're going to do is take a lot of the springs on those setups and make them unstable. And you could fail a spring that isn't of this quality. And the S&S rocker arm, someone else that we never talk about is it's a heavier rocker arm. It is heavier,
Yeah.
so you're moving more mass there up and down, which is harder on the spring, it's harder on the valve, it's harder on the cam.
Has more tendency to maybe, do the springing of the push rod because of the added
Flexing it.
ratio, flexing the push rod.
Yeah, I mean, we run it a lot. So if we're running on a small cam, like under 230 degrees of duration, we do run the S&S roller rockers. But if we're running a cam that's got more than, let's say, 230, 235 duration,
Lang even had all the
And
power that day.
Under 550, like 550 or under, right?
well, it's hard to say that because we run the Ward 550 a lot. And that's a cam where it's a maybe option on that cam. Anything bigger than the Ward 550, we necessarily don't run it
We're
on.
saying no now.
Well,
Yeah,
you have
even the
this-
Ward 550, I don't think we've really seen it make more horsepower. Guys want it.
Well,
That's a torque cam.
Well,
I
you got to
love that
think
cam,
of
yeah.
the whole combustion cycle is a circle. So, the larger the cam, you still have the same amount of time to go from closed to open.
Yeah.
So the farther you're opening, the steeper the ramp to get there. So if you have a smaller cam, your ramp looks like this, and then as your cam gets bigger, the ramp gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, the roller rockers are doing that as well. So you can actually have a negative effect by having so much ramp speed that
We have
the
seen that.
valve
Over
opens-
accelerate the valve.
Yeah, the valve opens so quickly that you actually lose air pressure, which is something you never want to do inside an intake.
And you get
And
a
you'd
little
see that.
chatter on your lifter. On
And
the
you'd
cam.
see that tuning, right? Like you'd probably see some little wobbles or something
Yeah,
going
you
on
can-
because of the speed. The valve is like basically outrunning the available air behind it.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
So we're not trying to talk you out of a product. We just want to give you the best setup we can. And taking off those roller rockers, and the reason that it's increasing the ramp speed is because it's a slightly over ratio roller rocker.
Right.
And keep in mind too, like every one of these that we build, we learn, and we're going to take what we built here and continue to roll that knowledge forward. And we go down a direction sometimes, take a path, and learn after a while it wasn't what we thought was causing an issue. It's this one component, and then we remove that and slowly kind of dial into what
And
works and what
sometimes we
doesn't.
find
Right?
it out by accident. Sometimes
Completely.
we just we forgot.
But-
We forgot to do this on this build, and look at the surprising results.
Hundreds of motors a year put us in a position where we
Yeah.
can see that stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
we're real fortunate that we get to do so many of them that we have probably more product testing than just about anybody out there.
So on those bigger cams, no roller rockers. The factory Harley rocker arm has been great. We have started to change the shafts to a better
Chromoly
roller rocker
shaft.
shaft. Yeah, a better material just to make it more stable, make it stronger, make it flex less underneath the loads. We really haven't seen any break. We've seen some shafts break on the internet and everything else, and we think it's an installation error from guys installing them incorrectly because it's easy to do. It's real easy to do if you don't do them all day every day. But we do like the better shafts in the rocker arms.
Water in the oil. We'll text about that later too, man.
Thoughts on the Star Racing F35A? If you're racing your bike and it's a 114 or a 117, and you're going to be racing from 6,500 RPMs down to 5,000, stay in that range, that cam is going to be probably your highest horsepower cam on a stock 114. If you're too uploaded, we would move to a Star 3030 or the MHP 45 cam because it's going to give you that grunt out of the hole. So it just depends on what you're doing with the bike. So John, just trying to answer your question for you.
Difference being overall area under the curve.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you're ripping and you don't want to go to one of these crazy setups and you just want a bolt-in cam for the most horsepower you can, that's the setup for you because you're racing guys. Everyday rider cam, you're riding 2 up with the wife. We would go to a Star Racing 3030, which is also the MHP 485. We work a Star on that setup, and we love that cam. That's probably our most sold cam.
Probably
By
is,
far.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
And we brought it out because this cam makes all the torque and all the horsepower. So usually a lot of the cams, we had a torque cam before, we had a horsepower cam before.
Yeah.
And this guy now outperforms a lot of the torque cams while still performing or outperforming some of the horsepower cams. And it's been an awesome cam for us. We order these 100 at a time. We keep them in stock. We have them in our shop at Moonshine Harley all the time. But right there, MHP 485,
Amazing
done in combination.
Same
with
So,
torque on the
George.
bottom.
Look at this. What a lead in. Ride Red says, will the MHP cam work well in my 107 Road Glide? Well,
Well, funny you say
funny
that.
you should ask.
Oh, weird.
We happen
we
to
have
have
a
the data.
graphic that Randy's going to show us it up, and it's now. So this is a 485 on a 107, and this has a 55 millimeter throttle body.
With the manifold.
Yeah, with a manifold, I mean. And you can see the stock 107 versus the 107 with a 485. It's a huge gain in power all the way around.
Yep.
And that's my spiel.
We'll take it over there.
And we have experimented with that too on a 64 millimeter throttle body. Mild gains, a little bit of a tiny bit of a loss at the very, very bottom for some gains in the mid to the top.
Yeah, on the 107, the larger the manifold isn't quite as, we don't see quite the bang like we do on the 114s and 117s.
117s really love it.
The
Yes.
55 is really nice because it gets you away from the plastic cheap one into a nice metal manifold that's going to last. You know, you only have a 5-year emissions warranty.
And
that
on
plastic
some of those 485s, we've started to run on the 114s and the 117s this guy along with the 485, and it really does well.
It picked
Well,
up very
something
well.
else we've noticed in the market is customers, we went over the manifold in the manifold video we did, the manifold comparison and throttle body comparison video. And guys try to go to their local Harley store and they try to get a 64 millimeter intake manifold and they're not available. We pretty much always keep these on stock.
We have all of them.
So this is a
We really
66,
do.
this is a 64 on steroids. So this is something we can, Harley's got this new rule where we can't ship Harley parts out of our zip code area. But if it's one of our performance parts done by us and it's not a Harley part, we can ship it anywhere we want. So we keep these in stock. So if you're having a hard time finding a 64 millimeter manifold from Harley-Davidson with the vanes, these vanes are important. They help speed up the air around the corner compared to one without the vanes in the turn right here. I don't know if you can see that, Randy, but there we go. We have these all the time. Call Nick. Call Aaron at the shop. They'll get you taken care of. So we keep these. That's why we brought it out tonight. And like we've noticed, this is helping a 114.
Yeah.
It's helping a 117 over
yeah.
the cast one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Just 2-1 tonight.
We just tuned one. We're gonna make
still
one
hot
more
in the
pull on
dyno.
it tomorrow morning. But
And this was done for us by our boys at Frankenstein Engine Dynamics.
How many hours did you spend on the phone with them in the beginning before we kind of got that locked in, and what a partner they've been?
They've been awesome. I mean, the first phone call, we pretty much hit it off right there. Hey, let's do this, guys. They were all excited.
and
They want to get into different performance venues. You know, they have the
Changed
cars on
our
lockdown.
world.
They do a really good job there. They were excited. We were excited to have them on the team. They were excited to be on the team. And man, we hit the ground running. The guys over there, we deal with JD a lot. We deal with Chris Frank a lot. Jason over there, the designer, and it's been an awesome partnership. And they are working on stuff that you guys don't see on. We're going to be bringing out more stuff every year with them in combination with our team. So super excited to have them part of the Moonshine Horsepower Group.
and then one popped up just after that. Let's see that on a 117. So you want
Well,
to check
why don't we
out?
just go in order and hit the 114?
There you go.
Yeah.
Order I like.
We kind of thought this
Aaron's
out.
excited. He wants to show it
Pull
off.
up the no name. This is the no name,
No name.
114.
Mine's got a name.
Boom. There it is. So this one's kind of cool. Got a Billet Cat D&D on it. And if you look, that Billet Cat D&D is making a ton of torque right off the roll of the throttle. So at, what's that, 2,300? You're
It's a
almost
beast.
making 124 foot-pounds of torque as soon as you get on it.
It's crazy.
If you look at dips down right there at the 3500, this was the wave Mike and Aaron was talking about earlier in our conversations tonight. But even though it dips down a little bit,
so
it's still a
subtle.
very linear,
Yeah.
line. Look at that thing.
I doubt you're even feeling that.
It goes
when
from
you're
like
pulling.
a high-end Kia to a regular Kia, back to a high-end Kia in torque.
But yeah, it just holds it until you make max horsepower or real close to it at like 5,200 RPMs. And that thing's making 130, real close to 130 foot-pounds of torque
The entire time.
and
We call that the
125
brick.
horsepower.
That is the brick.
And that's why this cam's so great.
And that
so
was on
that's-
a billet cat.
That is a 114 with a billet cat on it. It's got a 64 millimeter intake manifold with a Harley 64 millimeter throttle body. We're running fueling lifters on that setup, and it's awesome. And then just for comparison, the next one we're going to look at, which is Davis, Randy, is pretty much the exact same setup. The only difference is we took it from the billet cat by D&D, and it's on our MHP Pro Stock full system.
This guy.
So real smooth curve. Talk about that one a little bit, Aaron.
Beautiful curve. I mean, still, maybe a little bit more volume in the primary, so it's...
No, that's the roll-on. That's whoever was dynoing it. That's
You
kind
think
of
so?
Yeah, I think that's his throttle
But
roll-on
look
there.
at that little gain right in the middle, right in here. That's that pipe, the collector, the primary volume,
Well,
mufflers, all
that is
working
what
together.
X chambers are designed to do.
Scavenging.
They're designed to eliminate that mid wave, to stop the pulse so that you get that mid-level gain.
Reflects it, dissipates that energy, and picks up power.
Just smooth. I mean, that's a very smooth exhaust when you roll into it.
It's a beautiful graph.
And
Nice,
for you
smooth
guys
curve.
that are worried about noise, this combination, along with a louvered baffle and a Chromeworks muffler, is relatively quiet. I mean, it'll bark when you get on it, but for the most part, you're going to cruise around with this with your stereo. You're going to hear it.
Hear your passenger.
Yep, passenger. If she's smacking in the back of the head, if you're going too fast, you're going to hear and feel that. But
Neighbors
no,
won't hate you.
Yeah, the neighbors aren't going to hate on you. You know, definitely a subtle sounding package, but still delivers all the power, man.
So if we were to rate exhaust, the D&D Big Bore sets off every car alarm in the parking lot with
In
this
the
cam.
county.
Okay,
It's loud.
every one of them. Then
Yeah.
you have the Thunder header underneath that. Awesome sound. It sounds more like your V8 exhaust
Rated by
than
Pantera.
anything, like a big block.
Pantera is the D&D Big Bore.
Yeah, awesome setup for your Thunder header, and then underneath the Thunder header would be your billet cat, and then would be the Moonshine Pro Stock exhaust. The Pro Stock exhaust is smooth. It's for
Genesis.
someone that tours,
I love
that
that
doesn't want to be beat up if they're going to be on the bike all day, wants bark when they roll into it, but wants a sleeper. So if you're looking for something to tour and you don't want to be beat up by a real loud exhaust, or if you want a sleeper, the Pro Stock fits
Yeah.
that bill.
Fits behind the stock heat shields. No one, I mean, if you don't tell anybody, they probably won't even know.
Never know, ever.
Except for when you idle and it lopes a little bit.
Yeah, 160 pounds of torque we got out of it too.
Yeah. It's crazy good pipe.
And what's weird is we weren't expecting that without having the steps. Normally our thought is we need the step in there like you see on a lot of exhausts, but because of how smooth the exhaust is, how it's made at the spigot at the beginning of it, the welds aren't into the pipe, and the size for the length it is, it really surprised us when we made it, and it really surprised us on the bigger builds like you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I mean,
107 to 135 so far. 135.
the next one's going to be DeMart. And DeMart's on a D&D billet cat, pipe we just talked about, and it's a 117 motor. So this torque curve, you got it pulled up, Randy?
That's 64, 64.
64, yeah.
Who did this? Was this your
That was me.
build?
That was me.
Talk about it. Go
Yeah,
for
this was a 2020 CVO. We did our 485 cam in it. We paired it with a Screaming Eagle 64 throttle body and intake manifold. It was a great setup on there. He didn't want something that was gonna rip his hands off the bar, but he wanted to travel on the bike and still have a nice setup. He has multiple bikes, so something that he really appreciated. He calls and texts me every once in a while, lets me know how much he likes it. So beautiful setup for the bike.
That graph, he's got over
133, 126, man. That's
133 and a half pounds of torque, 126 horsepower, at about 2,500 RPMs. He's about 130 pounds of
see
torque,
him?
and stays up there till about that 5,200 mark. Nice setup.
It's on the screen. They can't see you.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
on the screen.
There we go.
Nick was posing.
He was doing
man,
show and
this
tell.
His hand going.
Are we back? Are we back? There. One more time for the kids in the back.
It's right here.
You should never told him. No, but I mean, that graph, that's a billet cat. I mean, really good exhaust. The billet cat calms the wave down a little bit on that size motor from the big bore. And then the next one is going to be Sobolak.
Yeah, just about the same build. That was on an ST, brand new ST, and then that one we tried the 66 millimeter ported manifold. This guy, still a stock injector, and it was on a D&D big bore. It was actually pretty surprising. I didn't think it was going to make that much torque, given that we increased the baffle in the pipe, but it did. It made 135 torque, 122 horsepower. Some of that may have been related to when we tuned the bike. It was really muggy and humid and hot and just nasty out. So maybe horsepower-wise, yeah, there may have been more potential there to get a little bit more out of it on the
Absolutely.
horsepower side, but the weather kind of skunked us a little bit. So I'd like to see one of these run just like that. Like we're running one today on our AR header. It's looking really good. It's going to be pretty similar to this. I'd like to see one of these run in both scenarios in like March, February, where it's like 60 degrees
Perfect
and
air.
like 20% in the cell, humidity,
Wow, you're never gonna
density
ride 'em.
altitude is like 550 feet, like stuff like that. But
Yeah, when they ride, they're going to ride in these nasty ass conditions that we have.
that's
now,
true.
so-
It's real street number. And we've had people
But-
tell us all the time, like, I raced a guy that said they had 180 horsepower and mine was 170, and I absolutely waxed him, spanked him.
Well, we can make these numbers way higher. It just wouldn't be real.
Right. Our dyno is stingy.
It is so stingy.
Yeah, and we try to keep all the numbers as true as possible. But the nice thing, you can see just how smooth that it takes off right from the bottom, and it just
Yeah.
immediately hits peak torque, which is fantastic, you know. And that's
Same thing. I mean, it rides just about dead flat from, 26 all the way out to almost 4. That's going to feel real good. And he's happy. I think he's delivered a couple of cases of beer over here.
Oh, he
He's
has.
So happy.
And I think that's the most torque we've got year to date.
Yeah.
Out of
on
45.
that displacement.
Yeah, 135.
Yeah, 135, that's
That's nasty.
awesome numbers. I mean, back in the day, you had to have a 120 cubic inch twin cam, ST or R motor to get that kind of number. And now we get it on a stage 2 build with an intake manifold and
Stock
throttle
head,
body.
stock valve
That's
springs.
impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Harley's come a long way. Everyone that's dogs on Harley, I'm going to tell you what, this motor is an awesome package. It's been great. I mean, shoot, it handles anything we throw at it so far. We love it.
I mean, on average, too, looking at these, like every one of these is in the mid 120s and about 100 and like low 130s in torque. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
Yeah, the 107s is the most impressive because, that's crazy that same cam does that for a 107. That's a huge gain on a 107.
Yeah, 30, 35 horsepower gain, 20,
Yeah.
25 pounds of torque.
That's nuts.
That's insane.
Chase wants to know full length HPI versus D&D.
They're both really good.
They're
good.
real
Yeah, they're both
comparable.
really good. Yeah.
Full system, full length
Yeah.
HPI. It's a real comparable pipe.
The biggest difference between those two is going to be the amount of time it takes to get them.
Yeah, the HPI has a nice exhaust, looks really good. It's going to take a long time. Same thing with our pipe sometimes. Our Pro Mod pipe, which is the 2-in-1 with the patented fueling anti-aversion chambers. Sometimes we have them in stock, sometimes we don't, but they're so hard to get because of how many motors we build that we kind of reserve them for our builds in the shop.
Yeah.
Sometimes we let them go, but it's hard because sometimes we have extras, sometimes we don't, and it's always changing month to month. So if you need something, call us, get a hold of Nick or Aaron. If they're not available, leave us a message. The reason they're not available is when they get someone on the phone, they're usually spending anywhere from 15 to 40 minutes with someone on the phone
Easily.
at a time.
Easily.
So if you're calling once, twice, 3 times, sometimes they're stuck on the phone for an hour.
Yep.
You know, if we have someone that's doing a 143, they gave a deposit, we're going over the final details, it is a lot.
And then once I'm done with that phone call, it takes me about 2 hours to actually build it on paper and submit it for approval and all that kind of stuff. So we're working them one at a time.
Yes, you can DoorDash beer to us anytime.
From Toledo. Hell yeah.
Just send it to Mike at the service counter.
Man, I think like at
If you see
Bike
Jamie
Week or
walk around.
Sturgis, we need to go and we need to just set up a booth to meet all of our awesome customers there.
I know.
You know what I mean? That would be cool. We're not even sell anything or build anything. We just want to hang out with you guys and meet you guys.
And Road Glide said he had a Kia, so I wonder which one's faster. They make the same amount of power.
Do you think he would have made it up the hill? Aaron didn't make it up.
In a Kia?
The Kia and the
Yeah,
Beamer?
absolutely.
Get the
the
hell
snow.
out of here.
Yeah.
Nobody.
100%,
I
yeah.
told you, dude. Captain,
never gonna let that down.
Captain America in the four-wheel drive.
100%.
Yeah.
Done.
That Kia would have.
Mine's
No
like in
problem.
reverse.
Yep.
Done.
Dude,
Hey,
in
so
four-wheel
would his
drive.
truck. His truck would have made it up the hill too, but you know.
No, dude,
From
I don't even know about
He had to
that.
put plastic in the window, and there's no way he's going out.
The other guy in
Gonna be
four-wheel
seen.
drive backed into the hood of a Honda while I sat there in the ditch and was like, "Get the
Well,
hell
your
away
truck
from me."
would have ran over that car.
Yeah, your
Would've.
truck
I
would
could
have
have
been
gone
fine.
right over the hood.
But he had to put plastic on the window, and he can't be seen in public.
How many times has Aaron drove that
Dude,
truck
that's
to work?
ghetto as hell.
Like twice.
Twice.
Nah, more than that. You see
What?
one as well.
Okay, 6
my
times.
truck?
6 times?
I'll
It
say
Drive to
gets,
work.
it
4
gets
years?
absolutely shit miles.
Yeah, it gets like 6 miles a gallon.
It's on 38.
You gotta delete it in two.
We
That's
live-
bad
we-
of mileage.
Hey,
No.
It's like 50 miles away, man.
Yeah, man, it's a haul.
If he drives that truck to work and back, that's a half a tank of gas.
Pretty much.
You know who president is, right? That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It is, yeah.
Trump's not the president right now. That's a
My
lot of money.
BMW?
Yeah.
134.
Not bad.
And the best thing about Aaron's BMW is he only has one headlight.
For
Right
like,
now.
For like 2 years.
Dude, it's my
I'm
beater.
getting you right now hard.
Dude, I'm getting ground on. Look at him. You can laugh. Go ahead.
Hey,
Like, you won't change the light because you got to pull the. It's a
I got you.
BMW.
Yeah, I got you.
You have
Pull the
to
motor.
You have to pull the tire.
what is it, $1,000?
Your inner fender well.
$1,000 to change your headlight?
No, and I bought one and I tried to do it and the fool gave me the wrong damn light after I had to take the tire off the damn thing to get the headlight in.
And now he's got to wait for Germany, and they don't have any gas.
Hey, I see you over there. We're gonna build you a Trail 90 is what we're gonna do. Your next bike.
Are you all going to help Sean from Bike and Beards build his 200 horsepower road
Oh,
king?
Melissa's throwing shade.
Does anyone know who that is?
I don't know.
Melissa says she had to pull me out in the Kubota.
Bushmaster.
Thanks, Tony. That's a good wife right there.
Oh, man.
She did.
Hey, I bet you if she drove the BMW, it would have made it.
And
It sucks when even the comments are tearing you up.
it's my wife tearing me up online.
We
And you know what? She told me
Melissa,
like
would you have made it up that hill?
she pulled me out.
100% I
And I was
believe
like, I think I'm gonna go to work. I think I'm gonna fix the window. I'm gonna go to work. And she goes, if you can't get out, you're gonna stay out there because I'm not gonna come back out and get you again.
Hey, did she
Good
tell you
wife.
to just drive your truck?
What?
Did she tell you, why don't you just drive your truck?
She may have.
Hey, man, if Bikes and Beards needs a bike, have them call Aaron or Nick. We'll get them sorted out. 200 horse, we're going to do a turbo 135.
Yeah, we've already got the motor designed.
These cylinders right here, the Game Changer CNC cylinders with a negative 20 cc dome and a
the
Trash
one.
turbo kit.
That's the
We're
one.
rock and rolling. Our turbo cam made its way on a 147 cubic inch motor today.
Ooh,
Not
147.
at our shop,
Melissa, she would have
but
yeeted it.
at a
I
shop.
believe it. White claw in hand.
Gunsmoke, we actually have a different cam that we put in the 131s. Give us a call and we can hook you up.
Can you display the number? Can you pop it up, make it look all fancy? I would have
Will the cam?
yeeted it.
Yeeted it. Yeet, yeet.
That's
that
young
mean?
talk for crashes.
Let's see, 131 Harley motor. The 485.
In a 131.
I would run.
Yeah, we have a different cam. for that.
I would run a different cam.
Yeah, give
that
us
for
a call and we'll get you hooked up.
Please help Bike and Beards. Look them up on YouTube.
I've seen his YouTube channel.
We'll have to call them.
135, 300 horsepower.
No,
Yeah.
I got an email today from a
Hey.
bike and beard guy. I think it was a twin cam.
William, your stuff came in, and we had to redo a
what's
front
good?
piston. So we're waiting on that guy, but they looked really good.
Ooh.
Easy.
I'm excited
Set
for
the
that
brake.
build. I look at your stuff every day. I have your cylinders in my office. So as soon as we have those pistons, you'll be rocking and rolling. Cams are in for that 135 turbo. I'm excited for you to finally get it. 300 horsepower, maybe if you up the PSI from 12 to like 16, and you want to run something more
Oh,
than
the
regular octane
E85.
throttle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or fuel.
E85.
He likes to party. We
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, send it. My name is Wade.
Hello, Wade.
Wade
I like
Maximus.
turtles.
Is that the Wade that works for us? Because that'd be
It
hilarious.
sure sounds
Dude,
like
this is I like
Yeah,
I like turtles.
I like turtles.
I like turtles.
Cool, we'll do. Hey man, bring it down. We'd love to meet you too. It's been what, 2 years we've been talking to you, a year at least, easily. William, love to meet you, man.
There he is.
Like turtles. There you go.
It's gotta be the same guy. He's all grown up now.
It's the dude from the video. He's grown up and owns a Harley,
Love it.
How do you know?
and he wants 300 horsepower. We're gonna go real fast. He goes, "How you know?"
What else have you guys been hit with a lot? Customers calling in needing.
The 135 is just taking over.
Yeah.
That thing is just an absolute
It's just
beast.
such a good build.
It's so strong. You can tour on it. You can go beat on it. By far, one of my favorite kits that we have here.
Well, the difference between maybe like what S&S is going to be releasing for the
Down
135
scooter, let's do it.
and ours is more expensive. To do one of our 135 builds and theirs is more expensive because they're better pieces, and we have to do a case bore. We want to keep your cylinder sleeve really thick, so we team up with
Listen to
Yard
that one. It's a different sound. Not near as.
Should we do the dinner bell, Mike?
But no, so
This one and this one.
so this guy earlier today, it's
You can just hear
.045.
it off the table.
This one is .113 thick, and it's just a larger cylinder. And what's cool about this is this guy is 369 thousandths thick, so it's .369 for the first inch. And the first inch is where you have all the pressure, all the PSI from compression when you're running your motor. When we go to a CNC cylinder, we're no longer restricted
is
by
drunk.
how wide it is. When we do a stock
Wade's drunk.
cylinder, we're restricted by how much meat Harley put in their casting. When we do a CNC cylinder, we were able to make the casting whatever we wanted, or the body whatever we wanted before we CNC'd it. So this is the strongest cylinder we use. And on the 135 kit, we can use this. You get the same thickness sleeve on the bottom. The only difference is on our CNC cylinders, it's thicker at the top. There's more material around the sleeve in the aluminum main body, and the fins are a little bit bigger as well to help dissipate heat better.
More surface
So are
area.
you saying that thicker is better?
Thicker is better.
Oh boy.
All right.
Hey, Bill, I saw your comment earlier. So, yeah, when you pick up the bike, you have 1,600 miles till you get home. Highly recommend get the oil change between that 500, 700 mile mark. And then change it again probably when you get home to make sure it's good, and then get back on your normal routine maintenance plan between that 3,000, 5,000 mile service mark for the bike. But for sure, try to stop somewhere and get your oil change. If not, get some oil from us, change it on your own, and just give me a holler. We'll figure it out for you.
Miles
Only
on the
in the meat
135
sleeve.
kit.
Well, Chris
You-
Thompson wants to
Hey.
know how far someone's gone on 135 kit. Hey, man, we have customers over 30,000 miles on those kits.
Easily, yeah.
Sam Mooney, what's up, New Jersey?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty sure it's New Jersey.
Well, Matt Jad, he picked up
Yeah, he's
his
New Jersey,
bike.
yeah.
Matt Jad picked up his bike from here and rode straight from here to where?
Sturgis.
Sturgis.
Ashley
Rode
Holgate rode from here to Florida to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
It's his birthday, so he's not here.
Portalosa went
I
from
mean,
here
the
to Ohio to Cali.
135 isn't getting
139.
hotter than a 131 running. They're running at the same temperatures, and it's a more stable environment for the piston because of how thick the sleeve is. Because we case bore, it's a more expensive build. We bore the case in the, so it accepts the larger sleeve, and that makes all the difference. in the
Mattingly
motor.
too. Mattingly from here to New York to Laconia. Then he's going to ride back here in September, drag race the bike, and ride it straight back to New York.
He did that last
Like
time.
off
And,
the strip.
and-
Well,
and he doesn't ride his bike under 90.
You
Right
know,
off
No, he
with,
does
with
not.
the,
He
with
does
the
not.
bottom spigot design that we have on the 135, I think it's the most stable setup you can put on the motorcycle.
Well, if you can zoom in on this, Randy, too, they're both, the spigot's at the bottom, so they're both on the same level surface. If you look, this guy's a lot taller. How would we do that? Customer, look at that. The difference here of the,
Would you look at
from
that?
the top of that deck to this deck. And that's how much farther in the bottom of the sleeve your spigot is going into the case. It just provides a more stable environment for the piston because the sides of the piston, the skirts, are not coming out the bottom of that sleeve. And that's what we're doing there. That's why this guy is taller on the table, is we do not want the piston to come past the bottom of your spigot. That guy's coming down here and going straight back up. Some of the kits you see, your piston, Some of those
Hang
stroker
low.
kits you see, that piston's coming out that far
It
from
is,
the
yeah.
bottom of the spigots.
Well, and that's why S&S hasn't released their 135. Because of the length that the piston's coming out of the bottom of the skirt, they haven't quite worked out the kinks yet to be able to make it a stable enough for them to sell them in mass.
Do you think they're going to do like a piston jet relocation and all that kind of stuff like that?
It's a lot
I don't
of
know
work.
what, I don't know.
Too much work. And something we do, when we bore the case, we're not moving the piston jet. We're keeping the piston jet where Harley designed it to be.
Right.
We're not insetting it. We're not doing that. We work with the guys at Dark Horse to do the case bores. They do all of our case bores, and they go around the squirter, and we leave it in the factory location. They put a lot of time, a lot of energy into putting that piston jet there, and we don't want to mess with it.
And that's one of the rules that I like to live by is nobody puts more time in engineering than the OEM companies because they have
The most money.
all the warranty, they have all the vehicles. They're the ones that are putting, Harley's putting hundreds of thousands of motorcycles out on the road. They've done more engineering than anyone else will ever do. So when they come out and they put a piston jet where they think it should be, I'm pretty sure that's probably the best place for it to be because they've put that thing through hours and hours and hours and hours of testing before.
Well, they have the
you know-
testing facility in Arizona, out in the desert.
And they have they have three, right? They have one in Arizona, they have one in Florida, and I think they have one up north. They take motorcycles and they put them in a shed in southern Arizona where it's like 115 degrees and they let it idle for like 20 hours. And it just sits there and idles. And they just leave it in the shed and they come out and check on it and it's
Burning.
hooked up to
Your intake
sensors
manifold
and they're
melted.
monitoring it from their air conditioned facility. But I mean, it's crazy the stuff that they do. So they know what they're talking about, and to deviate from what they've originally designed usually means that you're de-engineering.
Well, something
That
else.
goes with like the breathing systems. People come up with there's a couple companies out there that will actually take the breathing system from the M8 and
Relocated.
retro it back to the twin cam. But if the twin cam breathing system was so stupendous, they would have pulled it forward on the M8. They wouldn't have redesigned it for the M8.
That's another good question, actually, if you want to touch on that really quick. Is there a point in builds where you feel, I get this question all the time, when do I need to put a vent on my bike?
There's 3 vents on the bike now.
No, right, but they're talking about the additional ones, either the Trask, a vented dipstick, any of those things.
We can build any size motor that we do, whether it's a 128 to a 143, and we can keep the stock Harley-Davidson vent system in place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With
Which
the
is
way
preferred.
we build our kits. We don't have to add extra external venting.
Here's what my take on it. If you have really good components here and you have really good ring seal, there's no need to externally vent these things because all of that's controlled, right?
Right.
Well, originally there was some.
Yes, you get some movement from the piston, but that should be handled by the factory venting system, right? Like overpressurization of the bottom end is failure of ring seal.
Well, or you're just displacing so much air that it can't physically pass through the vent. But you've got to remember the air can compress extremely small, especially when it's hot. It moves through tight passages.
Well, we've seen some vent kits out there where they're venting it correctly, and it's a real cool kit to get it away from going in the intake. But the problem is the size line they're using is real small. And then you take that real small line, Harley has that same size, but they run them 3 inches. Well, that size line, if you have to run it,
2
I don't
feet.
know, 20 inches or more,
Yeah.
the volume of the line and the inside diameter of that tube needs to be larger because of how much resistance you have on that line. So some guys use the same size line that Harley used, but instead of running 3 inches like Harley's doing, they're running it 20 plus inches, and then it doesn't vent enough air to actually accomplish what it's designed to do.
Because you're
And
building up
you have
pressure
problems.
on the vent.
Yeah. And then we see ones that are real big, and then no one wants to run them because they're bulky and they're gaudy looking. They're right there on the side of the motor that's real pretty, which is your exhaust side. And that's why we go back to kind of the way Harley designed it,
Yeah.
because it works really good. We're working on a couple of things, in the underground lab, and when we have them out, we'll release them. But we're working on a kit no one has ever put on a Harley yet. And
LS swap?
If it works, we'll release it. If
With
not,
a thunder header.
we'll
LS
try
swap.
again.
With the thunder header.
Hell yeah.
Well, something else about this cylinder besides it having a longer spigot is, hey, this has the same amount of fins that the Harley-Davidson cylinder has. 11 fins on it. It's a different shaped fin, and there's more fin area on there to actually take the heat away from the cylinder. So these are the Moonshine Horsepower Game Changer CNC cylinders, just in case you guys are looking at them. I don't think anyone else on the market has a CNC cylinder with the same number of fins that Harley has on their cast cylinders. So real cool setup if you're running a big motor.
Steve G asked a couple of times, 131 kits or 135s, that's all M8 stuff. That's not applicable towards twin cam. Not at all.
Yeah, I think Jim's makes
Yeah,
a
Jim's makes one,
131
but
motor,
I wouldn't put it on there.
but it's not
It'd
a
be fun for a little
longevity motor.
bit.
Yeah, a little bit. What is the go-to setup on a 117 Lowrider ST? Lowrider ST, dude, I got that covered.
Yeah.
The Thrash and Supply
135.
AR header.
135.
No, for just a pipe and stuff like that, I would go 485 cam, run the Thrash and Supply AR header, run the 64 millimeter
Well-
throttle body, ported 66 manifold.
And if they call thrashing for the exhausts or back ordered, it takes a while to get them typically.
We have them.
We have them in stock. So we keep those in stock just for you guys trying to do that exact build.
We have all
that
of
way
them.
you call us. We're a one-stop shop. We handle every piece you need to build that motorcycle, and we ship it to you one package instead of waiting on 3 or 4 different
But-
vendors.
That setup would run very, very similar to that one, Randolph.
Yeah.
That was a soft tail with an AR header and a 485 cam.
Can you pull up the no-name one again?
No, it's Randolph.
Well, I know about my file. I don't think
gotcha.
I saved it.
Anyway, that was the.
Make sure it looks like this, right?
That was a soft tail with the 485 cam and a ported 66 manifold. It made 125 horse and 128 torque, and that's on a the dual balance motor. Realize those motors are different between the your touring bikes and the soft tails. The dual balancer is a little bit more weight to move there, so sometimes we see different numbers on them, but that just performed awesome.
Well, yeah, you're pushing 2 balancers through some oil too,
Right.
so a little more resistance on it. But awesome setup because the exhaust is a little shorter, from like 32 down to 2,000 RPMs. You're just gonna have a little bit slighter incline. It's not gonna pop up as fast as it did on the Billet Cat on the dyno chart you're currently looking at. But the bike's so light, you don't need that much torque down low. You're not moving a 1,000-pound touring bike. You're moving a 600-pound soft tail. And that pipe's real snappy. When you get up in the RPM range and you're riding them, they're snappy and touchy. And I mean, when you put that exhaust pipe on any dyno or soft tail, you can beat Nick.
That's very.
eighth
That's
mile.
like real.
It's proven so far.
It's
That's
proven.
scooter
Until
setup.
September 18th.
It's proven.
Scooters in there.
Hey, I'm not changing my dyno. Are you gonna change anything?
Yeah, scooter.
No.
Ported manifold, 125,
Not yet.
135. Hell yeah.
I was going to change gearing, but I don't think I will.
You should.
You tree me, and I was running you down, and then you're waving to me at the end, so I know I
I
got
think
you.
it'll help you. You should.
Dude, you're
change
gonna
it.
run a stock 96 incher, man.
A stock 96.
That's what I'm gonna bring.
Oh, you're going to bring yours?
I
Bring my
wonder if
dyno,
we
bro.
swap dynos. If I could. If
You'd
would
hate
be-
it. You get on my bike, and you wouldn't want to get back on yours.
Probably not.
You're like, this thunder header sounds amazing.
We should swap bikes.
I'm down. Because I'll be
Cool.
wheeling yours
He's
all the
like,
way down the back
I'm
stretch.
not giving it
You
back.
can't yell at
This
me
is
if you're
gonna be
next to me
like
on the
next
bike.
year, right? Because you're working that day.
No, that's what he said earlier.
we have to
I have,
figure it
I have it on film.
I have it.
Yeah.
We still do 124s. Yes.
Absolutely,
All
yep.
the time.
107 is a drop-on 124 conversion.
And they're rippers, too. They
they are
RPM
fun.
quick.
What's cool about those kits or doing a stage 2, like anyone that's done a 45 cam, if you want to increase your cubic inch to a 124, 128 later, that cam will cross over to that setup.
One of the very
perfectly.
few that will.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Because it's got a little bit more lift, it's got a really good timing on that cam, it traps a lot of air, it'll be a torque monster too. And then, of course, on the 124s and 128s of stock heads, our favorite cam, if you're not looking for a torque monster, is the MHP 492. Just a little bit more horsepower. Then we're going to get out of the 485, a little less torque. What's the benefit of running an aftermarket compensator versus stock or modified M8? Well, we brought this guy out.
Yeah.
Here you go. Boom.
That's
Stock.
yep.
Modified. That's all we change.
Much nicer material.
Well, let's just say we only swap the ramps.
That's it.
And there's a reason. Let's go over why we don't go to like a real aggressive one. Or if
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to go to a real aggressive one and you're about to or you have, what are the differences?
I'll kick it off and Nick can finish because I heard him today, I think for a good half an hour trying to explain to somebody like the,
100%,
the
yeah.
comp deletes can be very, very aggressive on downstream parts. You were talking to the guy for a good bit today about
Yeah.
it. It was a dark horse he had?
Yeah, he had a dark horse, and he kept breaking components inside the primary. He was hurting things behind the driveline. I was like, it's a great product. They're really nice, but it's a racing product. They are a little hard on stuff, and if you want to have that product, great, do it. But no, you could have some issues in the future with it. With our Comp Up Smooth, it's not loud. It's something that's very smooth on your drivetrain. You don't have to worry about hurting the belt, the transmission. But if you're out there to hurt the bike, we've seen it in here before, you can hurt this bike no matter what application you put on. It's all about how you're going to put down power on the bike. You're going to be smooth on it, but if you're trying to hurt it, you will eventually hurt it. But this unit here is a stainless, and it comes right off the machine this smooth now. It's a beautiful setup. The OEM one is cast. I've personally have broken a couple of the stock cast
And
ones.
no fracture right in here.
Yeah, you could probably drop it off the second story in here and it probably would crack. This one will not break. We've had 0 failures of our MHP Comp Up Power, but yeah, very, very nice setup.
Reason being on your deletes, when you delete them, you know, the action of the compensator wrapping up, absorbing energy both forward and in backlash to kind of keep a constant tension on the primary chain. The comp deletes, any of them, either the solid comps or even ones that have like polyurethane bushings in them, limit how much this is able to rock back and forth and soak up that energy, which makes them loud and backlash, all of that. If
You can hear
wanna-
them a lot on idle.
For sure.
So
You
if
can
someone
hear them
has
backlash
like
in
a
the chain.
comp delete or they have one that doesn't have as much movement, you can definitely hear it. The bike's noisy at idle.
Right, because the motor, in your mind, you're probably thinking the motor rotating like this, but it's actually jerking forward, jerking forward, jerking forward, jerking forward, and then you can hear it in the idle. And that will cause the primary chain to tension, loosen, and it backlashes, and you're hearing all that sound. Meanwhile, it's beating the beans out of the tensioner and everything in there. This will take up that slack and allow the compensator to do, to Mike's point, what Harley has spent years and years and probably millions of dollars trying to figure out how to fix. So, you know, if you want the most direct application of power, in this is the way I think about it, you know, if you want a belt drive or you want to run a comp delete, you have to be okay with the primary chain noise, and you have to understand that you're now the fuse in this situation. Otherwise, all that energy is going to go straight to the basket and straight to the transmission and just break stuff. If you're the kind of guy that's going to rev it to 3 or 4 and drop the clutch and take off, you probably don't want to go solid comp. I would do something like this and save yourself some heartache and cost in parts.
Well, also,
buy
come
bigger.
into a corner. Let's say you come into a corner too hot and you downshift one too many times, and you let off that clutch and your rear end goes to lock up.
Get good.
This will actually hop the ramps when it needs to when you're in that application and you hit one too low a gear. I mean, you don't always do it, but once in a while you will. The comp will be a little bit easier on that abrupt RPM change and make a difference as well. So there's multiple ways. And plus, all of the clutch, the spring pack behind this guy, that is a wearable item. Those springs do get warm because this guy's going in and out when it's working. And those springs are available at any Harley-Davidson service shop in the country. It's real easy. You don't have to go somewhere. You're not riding and you got to find these specialty parts. They're available at any Harley-Davidson dealership. So the only part we're replacing is the ramp.
And
With this
potentially
guy,
the springs.
and it works perfect. So, you know, and those springs, depending on how you're beating your bike, they can last 20 to 50,000 miles
That's what I was gonna say about-
before you do them. When you shut the bike off, if it clunks, it's usually a sign that your spring pack behind your compensator is a little tired. There was a customer down here, Matt Lyle, was asking, hey, can we do anything to fix that really abrupt power when you go from first to second? Sounds like he's hitting RDRS.
Yeah, it sounds like he's got traction control.
Yeah, we can manipulate the traction control at our dealership. Not everyone has that ability to change the tables to make it so it doesn't shut your bike down or limit you. If it's something you want to address, you can schedule a dyno tune with us, and we can fix that for you. So please call the shop. Numbers listed down there, take a look at it right below us, and ask for Aaron or Nick.
Freebie.
If they're busy, please leave them a message. Also, you can reach both of them or myself. It's Nick at Moonshine Harley, Aaron, Aaron, at Moonshine Harley, or Jamie, Jamie, at moonshineharley.com. And, if you need Mike, you can try. You want your email out there too?
Yeah.
Well, Mike's really easy.
Email's
M-I-K-E
easy to get a hold of me.
at moonshineharley.com, and we'll answer them. I mean,
That is not my
sometimes
email
if we're off 2 days
That's
in a
not his
row, we
email.
get back, we'll get them.
MVO at Moonshine
Oh
Harley.
yeah, MBA. He's on.
MVO. And correction, SNS just released 129. Yeah, you probably, can you? Yes. Would we right now? No, not until it's
Not
proven
yet.
out.
Yeah, check it out.
Like
first.
we talked about, the thickness of the spigot, the sleeve in the bore. We want to prove it out, make sure it stays nice and straight and round and good ring seal before we go commit into all that. Just because they make it doesn't mean we should put it on.
Well, we'd rather just do a 128 with the Harley cylinder. The Harley cylinder is a really nice cylinder.
Tried and
no one
true.
beats the look of this cylinder. And it's the same cylinder we run in our 139 when you want a stock looking cylinder. The 139, the 143. This cylinder by far is the best looking cylinder. When you hold them side by side, you really don't get a prettier cylinder if you're doing a black highlighted cylinder or a granite highlighted cylinder. I mean, very pretty cylinder. Just the machining on it, it's really nice. And it matches the head perfectly. The fins on the cylinder, the fins on the head are exactly the same.
Brandon asked about the SNS Sidewinder 2-to-1. That's a really good pipe for stock and mild modifications. When you get into the 124 and bigger, you're going to kind of run into problems with the way they have their collector design. So
We just did one.
if all you're doing is a like stock build or you're just doing a cam, it's going to be great.
Yeah, we actually had 2 cousins come in here. Both had Harley Screaming Eagle 128 and a 131s, and we did our little touch to them. And the 131 actually had the Sidewinder 2-to-1, and he made a little less power than his cousin did with the 128. Everything else was identical. Actually, we ran a 538 on one and the 592 on the other, but the 2-to-1 Sidewinder did limit the power on the top a little bit. And it was super loud. He called me back and he's like, hey, this race muffler on here is super loud. I didn't realize it was going to be that loud. So he's coming back in January actually to retune the bike with a different pipe.
We actually have that happen a lot.
Yeah.
Well, loud's great, but after if you ride like for 2 or 3 hours, it's not great
That'll
anymore.
beat you up.
And he's like upper New York and then came back to
you
here
just
to
start
Ohio,
getting a
so.
headache and you just want to get away from the sound, just like everybody riding with you.
And your buddies, they're trying to get away
Yeah,
from
they
you.
wanna
They're
get away
passing
from you,
They're
and
riding
then
on your left.
In the beginning, you're like, oh yeah, nobody wants to ride because I'm so loud. But then after an hour, you're like, fuck,
Yeah, this
I
thing
just
sucks.
want to hear something
He even
else.
said too, he was
What
like,
happens
no,
is
I'm that
you
guy.
make
I'm the
you
loud
make
guy
it to
now.
your
Doing
destination,
shit
like your hotel, and you're on like a 3-day ride, and you're laying in your bed, and you still hear your bike.
Yeah.
You're like, shit. Oh, man. Well, man, a little bit longer, and we're done for the night. We're tired. It's
Done.
been a long week.
Dunzo.
If you have some questions, throw them in there now. We'll read them real quick, guys. We appreciate you tuning in, all the support, all the trust. You guys are the
Yep.
best. We can't
Somebody
thank you guys
earlier
enough.
mentioned Spotted Cow.
They did. Who
Spotted
posted it?
Cow's
And
really
some damn
good
cheese
beer.
curds.
Yeah, hey, if you're going to send us some, we'll take it. We
Yes.
like it.
We'll drink it. We'll drink it on air. Maybe. Unless it's gone.
Absolutely.
They won't
we
make
won't.
it.
It won't make it.
Bob
It'll make it
sent
like
me an
one day.
email.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah.
When you guys do a full-on big bore, are you still leaving the Craze Kings vents in the throttle body? We do.
Yeah.
Brad, we typically leave them in there unless you're real adamant that you read something and you can't have them there, but it's not really hurting the motor at all, and the motors perform really well with the Harley-Davidson designed application.
And somebody else was after we did the spiel about venting, they thought, oh, well, is my Trask transmission top vent a waste of money? No, it's not, because you can't.
Cheap insurance.
You can add to the venting and it's not going to hurt anything. But you just, when you're running like external venting or changing or trying to change the actual vents themselves, there's no need to do that.
We don't want to charge you guys $500 to do something you don't have to do.
Right.
Because some of those vent kits are really nice, so they're expensive. They're CNC, they're anodized, they look good, they have a good filter on. They're expensive kits, and if we don't have to do $500 to a vent, and we could take $500 and put it more towards
Put it
horsepower,
in
Like
there.
this.
Yeah. Put it right there.
Or a
Real
billet
parts you
basket,
need. Yeah.
or the bearings that go in the basket,
Right
like
here.
real
Yeah.
stuff, real wear stuff.
Or injectors,
Absolutely.
but we'd
Or
rather.
here. You want to spend a little more than 500? Grab that bad boy.
Yeah.
That's where we want your money. Forget event. Let's keep them the way they are. Don't spend the extra money on them. Put them in the go fast parts, or the parts that are going to make everything else last really well.
Yep.
Damn, comments are coming in now. Canada, what's
Oh,
up?
the Prodigy wheels. He asked that a while ago. Thanks for being patient, Brandon. I forgot all about you. Call us. If we can get them, we'll get them for you. And if we can't, we have a company that chromes them for us. So we can hook you up with Prodigy wheels. Just like everything else, you just might need to be a little bit patient.
Yeah, Brad was asking about the carbon build. There's always carbon buildup on the piston, especially air-cooled motor. I'm going to grab one.
There's some right there.
Yeah, I don't think
Not
it has
always.
to do.
When they're new, there's none.
Later, Mark, do a burnout for me. I know I'll see you later on Instagram.
Here you go, Brad. Do they look like these? This is off a motor with hardly any miles run on it.
7 miles.
Yeah, no, I have more than 7. I'm hoping it's not 7. But yeah, I mean, if you have 5,000 miles or more, your piston's going to look like that. That's normal. And depending on how you're running the bike,
Yeah, if you
I
lug
mean,
it.
if you're running this bike on the highway for a while and you just get off when you pull the motor apart, it might not look like that. But idling in traffic, being around town, lower RPMs, you might look a little bit more like this. This is going to build up more and less depending on how you're riding that machine as the vehicle wears.
The AR chambers, you can run an AR chamber on any pipe, but the AR chambers in our pipes are proprietary to the people that design them, so we don't take their designs and try to implement them into other pipes.
Okay.
Chris Thompson.
Yeah, the 135 is it good for someone like himself, rides higher RPM? Yes. These, we say all the time, these bikes are not tractors. They don't like being lugged around at 1,800, 2,000 RPM.
That motor is going to love 4 to 6.
Exactly right.
4 to 6. You're going to get to 35, and it's just going to ask for more.
And all day long. And then
You'll love riding up there, too.
on break-in, we always say on break-in for your first 800 miles, don't set your cruise control. Try to modulate the throttle the most you can. Move it through the RPM range. You don't have to be like crazy about it, but just don't run on the interstate for an extended period in one gear at 1 RPM. What we're trying to do is not allow harmonics in the motor to build up and just wear parts in a certain area. So if you're cycling RPM, you're kind of moving the bike around, it's good for it. And also put some load on the rings. Don't baby it once it's warm.
Yeah, the thing is, once you get that oil to operating temperature, riding the bike for 10 minutes, what's really good for braking is full throttle.
Yeah.
Get
Put
that
pressure
bike
on the
under a
rings.
full load, and what it does is it push all that pressure into the cylinder wall to keep cutting those rings in and marry them to the cylinder. So once that bike's at operating temperature, I mean, 10 minutes should be more than sufficient of running the bike for the oil to be optimal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have a brand new motor for us, we're doing initial break-ins while we dyno the bike. And we can do that with less load on the rear end, which is less load on the motor, tranny, everything else in front of it. And when you get the bike, it's pretty much broken. You're just doing the final steps. Get the bike to operating temperature, 7 to 10 minutes. The oil's at full running temperature, and then let it rip.
Idling puts more pressure on all the parts than any other operation the motor does. Because like Aaron was saying earlier, you know, it's not like it doesn't just spin in a nice circle. It pushes, pushes, and pushes, and pushes. And the lower RPM you do that at, the more force there is. That's why it shakes so much at idle compared to, you know, when you're riding the bike at 3,000 RPMs, it doesn't shake at all. It feels like glass. But when you're sitting at a stoplight, it's all, well, what do you think's happening inside your engine? That's what's causing all that vibration. So when you like start the bike and let it idle, and you go inside and you check your messages and you make sure that your email's all caught up, and then you go get something to drink, and then you put your helmet on, then you walk outside and it's been 17 minutes, you're destroying your motor.
The bike's on fire.
Yeah.
The best way to warm them up is start it, put your gear on, and
Put
ride
your helmet
it.
on.
Ride it
Yep.
easy. Short shift it until the oil temperature's up, and then ride
Do
it
whatever
like
you want.
let it eat, man.
Yep.
Don't baby it.
You see Thor's comment?
Hey, he wants you to hold that up.
Australia here, can you hold up the gold spaghetti inlet, please?
Dude, I call that the Van Halen
This
intake
is-
manifold.
They made fun of me. I thought this was awesome. And Mike's like,
Dude,
that is
Wayne's
gay.
World.
I was like, this thing's awesome. You don't like this?
No.
No?
I mean, I'm
It's
not
a little
Australian
loud
though.
for me.
I mean, maybe in Australia that's the thing.
Well, you're not going to see a lot of it, but if you
And
look
we,
in there, like,
hey,
what is that?
And Thor, we have one. You want it?
No, I mean, this
One
is...
of one.
This
He
is
brings it to like every event.
Well,
We went to
because I don't-
Milwaukee this weekend, and he was like, "Check this out."
It's in
I
his
had it
pocket.
hanging on my
Showing
necklace.
everybody.
I never
Somebody
walking
please buy
around.
this.
He's like, "Man, I can't even be seen with this guy."
Flavor Flav.
Yeah, boy. Horsepower, boy.
So this was just a limited edition run we did on it of anodizing. We'll probably do another one. If you want one, let us know. It just will not be fast.
They come in gold and pink.
We do have them in, well, no, we have them in 2 colors all the time. We have
Yeah.
a black anodized run where instead of it having the spaghetti orange, spaghetti,
New part number, spaghetti orange.
we have them in solid black. So if you need them in anodized solid black, we have that available in one that accepts a Harley-Davidson 64 millimeter throttle body and the same manifold that accepts a horsepower incorporated, the HPI 70 millimeter throttle
The
body.
big boy
The
stuff.
big dog.
So we have those black ones available, and we have the raw, just machined look as well. But
Pretty cool. I like
it's
it.
square port.
The Van Halen.
That's what makes our
Van
stuff
Halen,
different.
man.
I'd run it. Fuck
We
it.
got the proprietary monster square port for the M8 products, which allow us to make that extra power.
You had me at square port. I don't care what color it is. I'll run it.
Opinion on the HPI throttle bodies are great.
They're great. You know why we don't
Good
run them?
stuff.
Because HPI is a small shop. They build for everybody in the country, and if we put in an order for 50 of them, it would bog them down to where no one anywhere would have them. And we have a really good supply chain with Harley-Davidson, and we can get the 64s. So we run them, and it alleviates some of that pressure from HPI, so they can take care of everybody that's not us.
Well, we go to this guy. It's
We
a
run those 70s
66.
too.
Yeah, the 70s
It works
rock.
with
Yeah.
a 64 millimeter throttle body on it, and we run this on a stage 2. I mean, we start this off on a stage 2. We run on a stage 3. We run it with our ported heads, which is matched to the ported heads we get. And something new we did is if you guys need heads for your bike, we have a program where we don't need cores anymore. We don't always have them available. It's first come, first serve. But we're trying to always have them on hand, which would be either the monster head with the titanium valves and Inconel exhaust, or a smaller head designed for a 128, 131, which would be our plus 1.5 millimeter over valves in stock. So you don't even have to send us a core. We have them ready to go. We can send them out. You can get your build done, and you don't have to wait a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks for heads to be processed.
Bob Prester.
So if you need a set right now, I think we have 6 on hand.
What chicks like that spaghetti guy?
Call Nick. Call Aaron.
Chicks.
Hey, you're my
Get your
chick, Bob.
heads. No, but you guys aware of that? The new heads
Yeah.
came in
Yeah.
with the new. They only need a core if it has the new and then the part number.
We probably sold 10 today. So
Yeah.
Sell your
we got it.
cores.
Sold 10
Online.
today.
I think we're
Put
sold
money
out
in
already.
Solid maybe. But the more you guys buy, the more we'll start to stock. What do you think? We done?
Yep, I think
Calling
we're
it a
done.
night. Hour and a
out.
half.
Cut.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe.
Oh, your phone's
Hit
right
the
there.
bell. Get the
I just stepped
notifications.
all over it.
Right in.
Can
Chris
we make
Thompson,
like,
where's
the
can
beer?
you
Go
make stuff
upstairs, go
shake
get
like
it.
on the screen? Like, subscribe here.
Subscribe.
Make it shake.
Here,
Hey,
I'll-
twin cam engine.
I'll hold it
Joseph,
for you guys
we
here.
do them all the
Here.
time.
Yeah,
Right, subscribe on the back.
we all have
Hold
twin
it up.
Yeah.
cams.
Subscribe. I'll probably spell it wrong. Subscribe.
Hey, you smell it?
And then like an arrow.
Subscribe.
Smells like
still
shop.
on?
Smells like shop.
And like, or
Smells like
Smell my,
exhaust.
smell my fingers.
Smells like exhaust.